Absolutely.
So we're gonna shoot for that.
I won't.
Yes, sir.
Well, no matter what, I have,
Right.
when my son texted
Okay.
me, I have to pick him up from the concert, so no matter what.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with the capital project.
Oh, your face. Good evening.
It's good. You want to go quick? That's it for our report.
Well, I will say the progress
So far.
pictures look amazing on the pool.
I appreciate you saying that because I thought these were a little shaky compared to some of the other months.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. I appreciate that. So we will go ahead and get started with our monthly report. So you're talking about the month of November. So as we always do, we'll start with our photos. So really just the top row there, the left and the right. The photo on the top left is a vinyl wall graphic that recently was completed in the pool. So saying Whitney Point swimming and diving. And then the photo to the right is the scoreboard installation. There is a speaker that goes along with it. We're just working through an issue with that right now, but there'll be a speaker that pairs with that scoreboard as well. Moving to the second row, the photo on the left, that's just some of the acoustic wall panels. And then once we get to the bottom row, you can kind of see a zoomed out that shows you all of them lined up next to each other, but just to add some more color to the space, I like them. And then the photo to the right is just this changing room area off of the pool deck itself, kind of just highlighting the space. You get a real feel of both the floor tile, the wall tile, the partitions themselves, just kind of a finished space, if you will. And then the bottom row of photos is really just a zoomed out look. So the left one is looking from the deep end towards the shallow end, towards like CEA. And then the one to the right is from the shallow end looking down to the deep end, which would be towards the high school science.
That's great.
So we will move into our project issues and concerns. So starting off with the critical issues, the first one, of course, update you that we have shifted our projected turnover. Previously, we reported to the board that we were projecting end of December. We've now projecting end of January. So that's the first thing under the critical issues is the pool turnover at the end of January 2025. One of the key drivers to actually making that date is the second item here under the critical issues, which is the completion of the overhead work. So we had an opportunity to show the board some of the items such as the duct sock that was going through there, or the fabric duct, both talking about the same thing. The lighting, so we got to walk past the lighting. The lighting hasn't started yet, but really the reason we need all the up high work to get done is so we can start the pool deck tile. That's critical path to get us to the end. So until the up high work is done, we can't get the lifts out of there. Of course, we don't want to be driving lifts over your brand new tile. So, that's kind of the predecessor, and that's a key driver to helping us get complete by the end of January. Other item here is the resolution of the duct sock conflict with the steel joists. We do believe that we have a path forward to get us past this. We're running into an issue with the duct. It's supposed to run through the web of the joists. And, it's been coordinated with the design team in conjunction with like the lighting levels, so both the daylight and the light from the fixtures themselves. So it's really key to us to keep them in that joist area and not below it to impact a lot of the hard work the design team did. And again, we do believe we have a path forward. We're meeting with our mechanical engineer in the morning just to put the bow on it, direct the contractor.
Was it a different size than expected, or?
No, just the conflict in the location of where it ended up landing based on the shop drawings.
Okay.
So there's some diagonal bracing at the end wall conditions. And the way that the duct laid out, it basically just landed right in the center of that diagonal. So there's a couple different ways we can get past that. And so we're just vetting which of those is the least, the quickest and simplest way to move. So it doesn't impact anything really performance wise, just a matter of resolving that conflict that came up when they started to install it.
Okay.
Right, but it is again a key driver to our schedule. So time is of the essence in getting a resolution, and then again getting the contractor to move forward with it. And then really the last here under the critical issues is just across the board, we just need contractor productivity amplified as it relates to finishes, and it's really across the board. It's not any specific trade, but Well, a lot of the finishes are with our general trades contractor, our GC. But really just, we need efforts amplified across the board in order again to get us to that end date of the end of January. We're seeing some, some crews are answering the call and others.
So that's how you're amplifying it, is just sense of urgency, critical path, things like that, like. what are you-
Conveying the urgency, yes, helping them, sometimes they just see their scope of work
Yeah.
and they don't see the bigger picture.
Right,
And so it's, well, why do I have to be there? I could get there next week. No, I need you here right now.
okay,
And this is why.
because they're
Because it
holding up
affects-
something else and so on. Okay.
I think that what you should have them do is have them go to every classroom in the CEA and explain why the kids haven't been able to swim and tell them that if they don't amplify their productivity, that's what they're gonna have to do, and they can answer to.
You're terrible.
I'd like to add that in
Sometimes I
the
wouldn't mind
conduct
that.
policy.
I'm just saying, because, maybe that would spur them to not have to explain to a group of K-3 kids why they haven't been able to go in the pool yet.
I will give you the call-in information for the next week. You can see how colorful it is. Yeah.
I can come down
No.
and sit down there while they're working. I can help spur them along.
They go to help you.
Tom doesn't involve a taser.
You know how excited Tom is about the pool.
Well done.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there, just get done with the high work so that we can progress some of the.
Yeah.
We're pushing them, so I think we got past forward.
So how realistic is this January, end of January date? I mean, I get how projects work, right? I'm in a renovation right now. So it's easy to keep pushing out month over month, given what work is remaining. And based on those contractors or subcontractors' schedules, do you think that date is attainable, given what you have today? You do. Okay, that's good to know. Because you're close, right? You're that close to completion. Okay,
From a high level view, we're in the finishes.
okay,
It's always good.
very good.
And I think the board got an opportunity to see that as there was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, drastic progress. Since
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't here at the November meeting, but just since then, in the month since then, it has come. along.
Oh, it looks amazing.
There is an end in sight. Gotta keep holding on to that.
We're still having a pool party.
So then, under concerns then, completion of, the first one we have is the completion of roof work at CEA to enclose the building envelope. It just had to do with some of the exterior masonry work we're doing along the west wall. We have since had that masonry work done, and the roofer was here all of this week and last week as well, buttoning up that membrane. So we should be all watertight over at the CEA. And then next one. So installing the pool deck tile prior to the bleachers arriving. Yeah, we just talked about that. The bleachers are supposed to arrive first week of January. So again, that's all the more reason that there's, we gotta get the tile started. The third one here, tying in the CEA back to the pool over the December break. So for those of you who haven't been around the OTPT room in CEA, we have a large partition wall that's dividing our space from the occupied space. The plan is to take that down over Christmas break. So that's kind of what we mean by tying that back in
Yep.
together.
Mhm.
The fourth one here, very similar to the CEA one, just the completion of roof work at TRA. There have been some just sporadic leak issues over there around some of the work areas where we put in that new elevator addition. We did have the roofer back up that. I do believe they've buttoned all of that up. There wasn't much left to complete. And the last two can kind of more or less be bundled together. So it's both for TRA and UPK, the completion of punch list corrective work over December break. That's really what we've challenged the contractors to get done with, because of course we're gonna have a punch list here in the pool and locker room areas. So better just clean the slate, get everything in those areas behind us so that when the punch list comes out for the pool area, they can just jump right on that. And then last one is just the timely submission of closeout documentation, which you'll see once we get under the engineering summary. We're doing pretty good. I appreciate that from the engineering side. The contractors are not just waiting until the very, very end to start submitting, which just makes everyone's life a lot easier.
So during the closeout documentation, will we get as-built at that point?
Yes, and some of them have already started to come in, especially for like TRA, UPK,
I
Nice,
started.
concession building.
wonderful.
And we're gonna start setting up weekly closeout calls just to go over with the contractors, making sure that they're lining up their subs, contract closeouts, all the stuff that's needed to
Excellent.
financially close out projects.
Great.
So workforce metrics, 75,000 hours, almost 76 to date, but right around now, we're around 15, 20 people per day, which is good. But we'd always like to see more, but cool. It's a big area, but there's only so much working surface. But, so. Doing okay there. Substantial completion, we talked about the pool, at the end of January. I guess project budget wise, we're in good shape.
Yeah, this one doesn't really change much at all. Under change management, so you can see we have a sum total of 208 PCOs to date. You can kind of see the breakdown by contractor, with the majority being with our general trades contractor. Remaining contingency about 6%. As of this board report, we have eclipsed the $1 million in approved change orders. So
Woohoo.
congrats to all involved. In terms of contractor payments, about 94.5% paid out on the contractor's contract values. And then when you include the district purchase orders and incidental payments, we're just shy of 93% paid out. So again, just consistent with that burn rate contingency. In the QA/QC report, since our last update, there was just a lot that were in the GC's courts, and then so we've closed some of those out, and then we've had some subsequent punch list inspections, so that added some of the tally to the completed on the MEP and site contractor. The field reports and inspections haven't had too many special inspections recently. We're willing to sign them up for an intumescent paint re-inspection. And then our pool engineer did make a trip out prior to the last contractor meeting and inspected the pool work and issued a field report, which we appreciate. Highlighted some action items that we did since have addressed. And then our landscape architect did a site punch list. We'll talk about the work coming up.
Yeah, so you saw part of the scoreboard is installed. They do have to come back in and finish the sound system and final tie-in of everything, but that'll be done once we're done with creating construction dust. TRA, we got a replacement for that entrance mat. We're supposed to ship last week. So, haven't seen it yet. But, anticipate as soon as that comes in, we'll get it thrown in and
Yeah, there's not much to it.
take it all out. There's a couple lockers there, one locker in particular in the boys' side that gets shipped this week. When they have that in hand, they'll come back out and finish up the locker room. There's a lot of little loose ends over there with the base and setting the benches. So we anticipate that this week, and then the pool features, they have them in storage, really just waiting to bring them on site for once we get the title down. Anticipate that to be early January. Some of the upcoming work, and you can kind of see it from the walkthrough, a lot of painting. Wall tile, the wall graphic went up, the acoustical panels have gone up on the east wall there. Caulking indoor frames, glazing, the overhead doors installed, just need to come back in and set the limits on it. That's in front of that window that looks out into the lot, if you will. The overhead duct sock, that's the one. Brick infills. Majority of that work is done. There's a little bit of a brick infill at the entrance to the pool. We're infilling brick again in that little vestibule area. Goal is to get that done before we tear down the partition there. Lighting roughing going in for that. We're starting on actually setting the light fixtures in the next week. Devices and emergency lights, fire alarm, all those systems are being worked on.
All right, and to round out the monthly update, the engineering summary, don't have any open RFIs right now, which is really good. That rate of RFIs have slowed down. It's consistent with where we are in the project. Submittal wise, again, as I mentioned kind of earlier above under the concern, we're doing pretty well. There's 40 closeout submittals left. I think this number's even come down since this update was produced, because it was a number that were pushed through just prior to the meeting. But yeah, I mean, you know, in terms of open construction submittals, we'd love to see that number 0. So that's something we're continuously driving for, especially at this point in the project. But just continuing to chip away that closeout submittal number. And then in terms of punch list, have made some progress since the last meeting, just shy of 60% complete. There's a bulk in my court for review, both mine and Greg's court for review. And the December breaks can be a great opportunity to cross all these off the list. So,
Yeah. You get 2 whole weeks.
yes,
So that'll be helpful, right?
very,
Good.
yeah, no, it will.
That's
And we've stressed the importance of, you know, maximizing that opportunity we have available to us. There's no
Good.
teachers and students in here, so let's get after it. And that's exactly the message we've driven home.
love it. Guys have done a great job.
I'll do a CO summary and then we'll come back to questions.
Yeah, so, there's actually a couple pre-change orders since the last meeting tonight.
All of them, you see. Yeah. We actually have 3 more ready, so you'll see them probably on the next monthly report. Questions about the change orders, what makes them up?
I don't, 'cause I'm in the main office, CE main office, and so I knew why you guys needed to do that. Are they also gonna be doing the TRA one, or I know they're talking about, or is that more furniture?
Yeah, we have an order out for furniture. We're expecting in the next few weeks.
Chris, which one are you talking about that you've seen? I'm sorry.
CEA, the.
Oh, the CEA.
Yeah,
It's under GC 36.
Yeah.
Oh,
CO 87.
modifying the main office of the
Oh,
reception
gotcha.
desk.
Gotcha.
They should have cut it down. a few
Oh.
inches.
Just
Okay.
an awkward setup.
Is
situation.
Okay.
The only question I have, and I already stated it while we did the walkthrough, is my concern about not having changing stations for parents in the main locker rooms. I know there's lots of regs that go with them, so I don't know if you guys can look into that and get back to Zach. But I am concerned because we have a large community flow in those places. Having one changing room in the disabilities locker room seems minimal for our community. So I'm just a little concerned about that.
Chris, what did we have before? How was it
There
set up
wasn't
before?
anything before. There was
Okay.
no changing, like, so if you had a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old, you needed to put a diaper on, you lay them on the floor on a towel or something.
Okay,
So there's nothing right now in either, of the main locker rooms. They have one changing table station in what would be the handicap
Yeah, the pool.
facility,
toilet
the
room,
pool toilet room.
okay.
So I'm just a little concerned about that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's room or space to do it, but I just wanna voice my concern.
Sure, we can absolutely look at that.
Yeah, we will.
And then you're gonna look at the cracks and no see me butts.
The spaces between the parts. Yes.
Oh, you noticed that. Oh, okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah, there was, and.
It's just a gap and it just needs to be adjusted. Oh, okay, all right.
You need something.
Hey, good.
And I just have a comment observation that, what is there is really nice. I do like it. I am concerned now we're another whole month out further. It was August, now we're end of January, which, I like to have faith in human beings, but just saying, we want you to go faster. I just wish there was a different way we could handle this. Because realistically, looking at what needs to still be done and the amount of time, I'm not as optimistic as that we're gonna be done by the end of January. So I guess that's my challenge. Make me look bad and tell me I'm wrong. But I am concerned. This has just gone way, way beyond where it should have been.
I have to admit, I was thinking the same thing as I was looking this over again earlier. There's still a lot to do. I mean, there's a lot done. And yes, you're at the finish work, but finish work tends to be, tedious work, and something has to be done to get things moving. swimming is part of the curriculum here and we're already gonna have to try to squish it into 6 months. Now we have 5.5.
Do you guys have a schedule of all the subcontractors' work that rolls up to this on like a timeline that they've given you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, like I asked earlier, based on that timeline and the work that's expected of them and the commitment you have, and yes, there is a lot of work to be done. You're feeling confident that based on the timeline they have given, that you'll be able to complete that
Is there opportunity for
slippage?
people to fall out
Sure,
and not follow through on
Yeah.
commitments? Absolutely.
right.
But there is a path there. Everybody's on board
Mhm,
and it's not a Hail Mary
right.
either. I mean, it's pretty clear that you can get there.
Do you feel that, like Tom said, from our original, expected to complete to now we're in January, there were a lot of unforeseen things that definitely had a major impact on the project schedule?
I wouldn't say, probably not one particular thing.
No, it's not. No, there were many factors.
Yeah,
Like,
there's-
there were a lot of things that came up that were not anticipated that just added, a couple months to the project scope in general.
There is-
But I'm just wondering if, after you look at this hindsight, right? Lessons learned, best practices, is there anything you could have done to remove some of the time that it took to complete this project? And again, I'm talking to see if, are we really gonna hit this January 30th date?
As far as lessons learned, best practices, absolutely, we can always look back, but sitting here tonight, and I don't have a list of things.
No,
off
no.
my head, but, people not holding up to commitments, like getting things done for a lot of reasons
Mhm.
is a big contributing factor to why
Why we're at the position we're
where
at.
we are.
Okay. So hopefully the subcontractors have committed, they have resources available and the materials available to follow through. In the, hopefully, the 2 weeks that we're out, maybe they'll even get ahead. I still like to be an optimist, so good luck and hopefully, you guys are able to execute.
We always have hope, right?
All you can do, right?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a nice holiday. Thanks so much.
Thank you for the tour again. Yeah.
I lied, but I had to, there's something I know. I had to contribute to something. The rest of the night, I won't.
Do we have need for an executive session? Okay, we do have a need for an executive session, to hear discussion on,
Contractual and personnel.
may I have a motion?
So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? And it is 6:30.
I was just cute. I'm gonna show you pictures. I was really cute.
Okay, we are reconvening into regular session at 6:52. Correspondence, there is none. Policy discussion.
I do have some homework, sorry, over the holidays.
See,
Um,
we get homework too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a number of policies I've been trying, kind of waiting, but we really need to act on these. So the first one is required. And it is the timeout and restraint. Is that on the top of your pile?
Yep.
Okay, so we have an old policy from 1991. It's one of the oldies but inaccurate ones.
Oldie but not
Yeah.
goodies.
That was entitled corporal punishment. Pretty much says you can't do it. Good thing. But
Hey, we might
now
wanna
there's
get rid of
very specific regulations about time out and restraint. So, you'll see the draft there.
Yep.
If you could read through that and any, comments, issues, questions you have, if you could email it to me so that I can respond to you, between meetings and, get some of that work done. But that is Erie One's, recommended policy, and the regulations around this are very specific, and that's what the policy follows.
That's
Do we-
the draft, that's the area.
Yeah,
Yep.
mhm.
Do we have this draft in electronic format?
I can send it to you.
Yeah, I like to highlight in yellow or make notes if that's okay.
That's
Thank you.
great. I will do that.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it too, because then I can do check changes.
I know, but it's just easier.
Okay, the next one is, a cell phone policy. And it's not quite as old. It's from 2011, our old one. But it refers to things like, MP3 players and
I still have one.
tape recorders, like kids are walking around with tape recorders, and I don't know. Anyway, wireless email devices.
Blackberries.
Yeah, BlackBerry. So, the new policy, and the reason why we need to have a policy around this is just to make it clear, because we have specific policies during the school day, as you well know. But we have all sorts of things happening on campus outside of the instructional day, so there have to be rules, and this is just a really more general version, specifically regarding the kinds of devices that is just more general, and the kind of behavior that is prohibited. So, obviously, and taking inappropriate pictures of people or doing anything that is aimed at harassment. So if you could read through that one too, that's an update. And then the last one is, there were 3 policies. One was called professional advancement incentive, one was called professional growth, and one was called internships. They are all incorrect.
And we've looked at them years ago
Yeah.
and couldn't come to a consensus on,
And so this, the proposed new policy, which would be one policy, which is professional growth and staff development, just outlines pretty much our responsibility to make sure that we provide all the required professional development and staff development for all of our employees, which there are many, many mandates around that. And they're outlined here, including a mentoring. So it's like, okay,
Perfect.
all right, and I will send you electronic copies of all of those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And when would you like us to send
So,
our updates?
In
before the next-
between now and next meeting, if we possibly can, because then we could get some first reading for next
Yep.
meeting.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
okay, policies for first reading. There are none.
I just want to make sure that, new board members know to just to email.
Just me
you.
directly, right? Not a group email, because then that would be like a meeting.
Discussion.
Yeah, so. Yep.
And then if Joanne emails all of us about it, it's informational, not
Right.
to open up a discussion via email.
You can email her back with a question if you have
Yes.
it.
Yes. But once we do it as a whole group,
It becomes.
if anybody starts responding, it's considered a discussion and not during a public meeting, and that's a big no-no. Okay, policies for second reading, code of conduct, approved policy 7310.1, code of conduct for second reading and adoption. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Thank you, Tiana.
Thank you to everybody who worked so hard on this.
Looks great.
Are there any
I
further
thought it looked.
corrections, comments?
Other than grammatical, like some different, I mean, that's not an issue here, right? I mean, you don't need any of that.
Well, yes, don't do,
They do.
send it to us, yeah.
You do? Oh, but I'm sorry. I should have sent it before.
Yeah,
Did you find something?
I've just a few small things.
Okay.
Should I wait? Should I not say anything?
say it now and we'll just have the record that
Go
we're gonna
ahead.
make those changes.
Okay, all right, on page 2, these are just some very small things. On page 2, under employee, the definition, third line down, pursuant to Title 9 of Article 5 of the Social Services Law, should that be capitalized? Sorry, but it just seemed awkward to me.
Oh, you mean the 9B being
Yes.
capitalized? I don't know.
Yeah.
Idea. No idea.
I don't know how it should be.
Good check.
Agent, sorry.
So-
Change the content, so we can check on that.
Check on it and we'll know that how it appears in the
Okay,
final
yeah,
draft is
because I
what's
wasn't sure.
appropriate.
I mean, the only thing I would say is that we've had attorneys read through this and
Oh, okay.
so.
And then page 3, under hazing, it's just a run on, the third line, physical or psychological, you could see that, physical or, it's all run together. There's no space, yeah,
Okay.
okay. Sorry.
No, it's,
That's fine.
We don't need to be apologizing.
Um. Also on page 14, number 2. I think that should be a period instead of a comma. And this has to do with, on page 19, it actually has to do with, the wording under 9, reporting violations. It says all students are expected to promptly report violations of the code of conduct to a teacher, guidance counselor, bus driver, the building principal, or their designee. So does that include, any school personnel? Just want to make sure, because especially if it's an emergency situation where there's a weapon or something where someone could get hurt.
So you
Should it be just more general or,
Which line are you at?
The top
under
of the top.
reporting violations on 19, the very first sentence?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, or is that just not necessary, what I'm saying?
no, I think that they've listed these particular people because you
Would
don't
the
want some.
designee be included? I mean, would that be included?
Well, if the building principal is out,
The assistant
their
principal or
their
somebody
designee would
covering.
be the assistant principal. If they're both out, it,
I mean, the
you
reason
know.
these people are trained in how to deal with those kinds of
Right.
situations, which is why that they would, ask that you tell. But I mean, I guess, like, if it's an emergency, right, like you would want to tell any
Right, right.
adult.
right, but usually they're going to be able to find a teacher or
Yeah.
bus driver or.
So you're calling out certain people and then at the end you're saying or designee so what you're saying is like to ensure it's all inclusive of anyone of authority that can help with an emergency situation?
But designee, I mean, that covers it. That's all I was asking.
Would an SRO officer be list? I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
It's a valid question.
Maybe I just misunderstood.
So it's policy, that means we're always going to have an SRO.
Right.
Why? Yeah, well,
So I think that an or designee would cover
cover
the
that.
SRO.
I think that's why you guys put, or why we
Yeah.
talked about it at
Yeah.
some point, designees kind of all encompass.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so
Like,
to the
yeah.
reader, I mean, the fact that you're asking that question, so is that not clear enough to the reader?
Right.
Well, maybe I was just,
Well, because designee is if the principal, then the designee is the assistant, but you're saying designee is any adult employee that you would want to tell.
I'm
So
just
that's-
saying in an emergency
Right, that's-
situation,
So
yeah.
you're looking at designee two different ways. I agree, that's not, it's somewhat ambiguous.
And the way it says their designee, so.
Yeah.
So,
See, when I read that, that would imply that it's, if the principal is not in the building, it's whoever they've left in charge, which would be the vice principal, and then after that.
but if I was a high school student, their designee would be somebody in the high school. But I could report it to the designee that's in the elementary building if I'm there and that's where I want to do it, so. Does it have to be their designee, or does it have to be a school designee? Unless, I'm just asking. 'cause,
No, I
yeah,
know.
I don't know, so maybe it's just the wording.
What was the intent by saying their
You-
designee?
There are specific people, so that it's the principal's designee, the principals, whoever, you know, the assistant principal, the person covering
Okay.
the office, the person.
So it was how I
You
read
need to
it.
get it to, I
Okay.
mean, what we tell people in training is you need to let the office know, like somebody in charge who's been trained to deal with these kinds of situations and knows how to like initiate emergency protocols.
Right, because you don't want,
But it's not just, you wouldn't kind of want to tell just anybody. like,
right,
You know, somebody on their first day, like substituting or something, you know?
Could it be a district designee instead of their designee? Or a district designee, I keep saying that word.
Or-
is this,
Someone within the chain of command of that school, right?
I don't know.
is it in the student handbook is like who they should report things to?
It's just, especially when we're talking about,
I'm just
you
trying.
know, a weapon or explosive. I mean, I'm talking about seriously dangerous situations.
Yes.
And a student, you're gonna, if it's a janitor in the hallway, hey, this kid has a knife or whatever, he's gonna attack. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they have to. I don't know. I don't know if it's important to put.
Right, but then,
And you could put like
But-
person in position of authority and the building level.
because like the custodian would have been trained to know who
Yeah.
to escalate to.
Do you think all personnel would know who to
Mm-mm.
escalate to? So we shouldn't include that, so.
They should.
They should, but they.
Part of their-
It's part of
Yeah.
the training, yeah. Students wouldn't all know though.
No, but like what Molly's saying, if
Yeah.
students are walking down the hallway and they see a person, a personnel. Yep, and they
Well-
tell that person, you know what I'm trying to think of the wording.
Oh, no offense, but I don't think that a student's gonna say, well, we can't go to them.
I know, right?
No, no, I mean for you, but I mean,
Exactly.
it's not worded right.
Now that
I
they know.
know.
Right, no, I don't think it's an
Yeah,
issue.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No,
If it's a policy, it should be correct.
Especially we put all this time in it.
I'm just-
And you need a comma after building principal, and there's too much space after designate, but that's typo.
No,
Make a note of
no,
that,
it's not.
Chris,
It's,
or-
it's because it's.
Oh, it's
Justified.
Stupid. I hate it.
You're talking about the Oxford comma?
No, it's just because the document's justified, so it looks like it's adding more space.
I would say that we have to leave it as their designee because,
Or at least or the district designate,
Right.
designees, one or the other, yeah.
because if a student grabs an employee to report something,
They're gonna know who to go to.
or they're gonna say, I don't know who to go to. And
Go with the.
I mean, we've always told the kids to go to the office.
Right.
Right.
I don't
So,
know, I would hope that if somebody knew something, they'd grab whoever's right there first, and then somebody else would know what to do.
right,
because
yeah, no, I
You
know.
want the first point of contact to be whoever it is that can maybe get.
Make it
to who they
escalate
have
as
to.
quickly as possible.
And if you have to go through 3 people before you hit the one that's listed on there.
Right, and I would
Yeah.
hope that even if an employee doesn't know specifically, they would know to get to the office.
Makes sense, yeah.
So I don't know whether you want to say, instead of end with or the superintendent or the most immediate person is in a position of authority or something like that, because really they should, I mean, if you can, there's time, you can go down to the office and report it, but if it's like super serious, which it could be,
Yeah,
then you need to go to the nearest adult.
Right.
But the way this is listed, if it is immediate, you have to pass everybody up and go to the office.
Right.
Right.
And if you're in the back of the building,
Joanne, how is this phrase their designee different than their designee under the second bullet where it says school employees and it says principal, superintendent, or their designee? Are those two phrases meant to be the same or are they different?
Should be the same. The principal's designee is also
says-
their designee. No, I
It
know.
says the principal, superintendent, or their designee, which is the principal or the superintendent's designee, but this one up here
Oh,
is,
see, I found one.
yeah, see, there, it's,
Yeah.
they're carrying in a couple different places, and that one there, in the first bullet, principal, superintendent, or their designee seems to mean whoever the principal or the superintendent assigned as their designee.
But I like the
Yeah, that
second
one makes
bullet
sense.
better because it says the principal, superintendent, or the principals or superintendent's designee.
Yeah, so that it's just worded differently in a couple spots.
I really almost think that it should be like just a person in a position of authority.
I agree
Okay,
with
go
that.
for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
And then
that's.
if you don't know what it is, they will know to go
Right, because
hire.
every, like I said,
Leave it to the-
every person who works here knows that what they're supposed to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that better.
And the only problem I had with this page, and I think that was the only, I saw it, maybe I missed one, is underlining things.
It's not a hyperlink.
It's not a hyperlink, so why, if this is really, really important, let's bold it.
Yep, I
Yeah.
agree with that. Okay.
See it online.
Yeah, you think it's a hyperlink.
Right,
Yeah.
It's not working, it's broken.
yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, so that.
It's really a pound sign. What?
Well, and it's
All
not,
the old
it's
people.
not good for blind people because the screen reader.
Oh, that's
reads it
true.
wrong.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, that's a
Very
good point.
There's another
too.
reason.
Yep. Did you have more, Molly?
Yeah, page 25, sorry. The third paragraph down needs a principal, a period at the end of the sentence where it ends in principal. Do you see that? There's
Yep.
something, okay. And, I don't know if there's anything.
You did a better job than I did.
Sorry.
You did good, Molly. You're getting A's for effort today.
Thanks.
I just found one on the same page.
What is that?
The same page, it says number one, there's no
Sentence, period.
periods.
Yep, right there.
Oh. Um. And then, page 35, this is just something that I guess I didn't notice before. Under E, referral to law enforcement and judicial authorities, number one, it said the district may report a crime committed by a child with a disability. So it's an option for us not to report a crime.
Oh, that's.
Where are you?
Number one, E on 35.
Yeah, it has to do with the level of their disability and whether or not.
Yeah, I mean,
you
that's
actually
the
have to
reason
do it.
why.
Yeah.
Depending on the circumstances. For a person with a disability.
So can or may?
May.
It's may.
Depends on the circumstance.
See what you mean. now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
okay,
I mean, a crime could be pulling a fire alarm.
right.
And if that child was
Can't understand.
can't understand what they were doing,
Ah,
that's why.
that's
it's
why
may.
we put may.
Mhm.
But if they do understand the consequences of pulling the fire alarm, they can report it.
Ah,
Yes.
They may report it, but if they don't,
Right, yeah. Okay, yes. Page 36 on the other side. The first sentence to me of paragraph 4, the fourth paragraph, searches of students' person includes any search that involves physical contact with the student's body, including clothing worn by the student, or the requirement that the student remove clothing with the exception of other garments such as coats. I'm just confused how this sentence is put together. Do you see, you read through it. Tell me what you think.
Page
36.
Fourth paragraph.
it makes sense to me. It's what they're saying is that a search of a student's person includes any search that involves physical contact with the student's body, including clothing worn by the student or the requirement that the student remove clothing, with the exception of outer garments such as coats, jackets, sweatshirts, sweaters. So they can be asked to remove coats, sweatshirts, jackets like that,
It
and
doesn't
it's,
sound like that's
and
what
it
it's saying.
Sounds the opposite.
It sounds the opposite.
Yeah.
Not, it says with the exception, no, it should be to and,
no, it includes any search that involves physical contact with the student's body, including clothing worn by the student.
So they
But-
can take,
but,
they can't be asked to take off their clothing except a coat.
A coat,
or the requirement that the student remove clothing with the exception of outer garments. So we're saying with the exception of outer
I
garments.
can ask you to remove your coat and
And your
it's not
vest.
considered a search.
a search of your person.
Okay, it's just
Yeah,
not
but
clear at all.
I don't, I
It's
think
how it's
the-
worded.
I
It's
feel
not
like
clear.
it's almost saying,
So
we're not,
I could say, you could change the wording excluding.
yeah,
Yeah, you could just
yeah,
change the
the
wording.
exception
Yeah.
part, I feel like we're saying we can't.
Mhm.
We're saying with the exception that we can't ask you to remove your coat.
But we can.
I know, but
Right,
I'm reading-
what they're saying is what they're trying to define is a
search of a student's person.
Yeah, I.
Yeah,
no, I-
No, we know what you're saying, but
yeah,
yeah.
In the sentence.
I think it just needs to be
Yeah.
reworded. Yep. It's like using the word only in a sentence for no stupid reason.
Or do we just have two sentences?
Yeah,
Could
that
have
would
two
be, that'd be a
sentences.
lot. better.
Actually, that makes more sense, Joanne.
Because then you could say, that the removal of outer garments such as coats, jackets, sweatshirts.
There you go.
Sweaters,
Does
vests
not.
does not constitute a search.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you
of the
go.
student's person.
Yeah.
It is
That's
still a search, but it's
Yeah,
not a
sounds
search of the
much better.
student person.
I like that better.
Yep.
Yes.
And immediately after that, the second paragraph, the second, which is just one sentence. It says searches of the student's person should be performed or witnessed by at least one school employee who is the same gender as the student searched. I think that it should probably read searches of the
Yep.
student's person should be performed by a person, an employee who is the same gender
It should be
and or
and.
witnessed as well. I mean, there should be
Should
one
be
person
and.
performing and it should be the same gender. And it should, well, I think that it should be the same gender also as a witness. So if two people are there. That's my personal thing. I think it's just kind of confusing too, how this is worded.
Not same gender as the witness. You're saying the,
Searches of the student's person should be performed or witnessed by at least one school employee. I don't know.
See,
It makes it sound like a man could search a female student as long as there's.
Female was there.
That's
a female
true.
watching.
That's true.
So
Because
that
then
is-
that is true, because an
I don't agree with
an
that at all.
SRO officer can perform the search with another.
So,
It was a female.
Can we
yes,
just
you can.
preface this by saying this would never happen unless it was
Yeah,
such a
very
like
serious, like, yeah.
serious concern, and it might be like what she said, then, you know, we
Yeah.
have male SROs. But you'd have to have a female present if it happened to be.
yeah,
a
so
okay.
either a
But again,
female
this
has to
would
perform
never
it.
happen,
Yeah,
like we are like not.
but real
Putting
quick,
hands
that
on
is
people.
standard protocol, right?
Yes, that's,
Yes.
That can be, that is considered
Or
standard.
maybe
You
that
don't
could,
have to have the same sex searching you,
but
as
maybe
long
that
as
could be
there's-
changed to two sentences just to make it
as
clear.
long as there is.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I, okay, no,
Okay.
that's a great.
I mean, they should be straightened out because these are our policies and if
Right,
there
that's
was a
what I said.
law case, if there was a case and they would go to this and then this would be.
Right.
You did not do what it says, so it should be what we.
No, I just said
say.
suggested making two sentences
Yeah,
and clearing
no,
it
should
up.
be.
Yeah, I think that would, two
Yep.
sentences,
Yep.
that sounds good.
Oh, it sounds real good. Good catch.
Sorry, just one more. I apologize.
No,
Yeah,
it's a
read
very
too much
important
This-
policy, so.
Page 40, it's just a word I think was omitted. Right underneath number 3 at the top. The sentence that follows, if they are a teacher or other district staff may be disciplined. I think they should be inserted in there before may. Or unless I'm reading it incorrectly,
yeah.
Teacher.
because it's not
Maybe to. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
anything.
it's missing a word.
Sorry, guys. On this one, she caught.
Good job, and Chris Casa, good job, ladies. Teamwork makes the dream work, my favorite saying.
okay, so then so what we're saying is that, you know, with those mostly grammatical changes,
Yeah.
that's what you're, this is.
And clarifying
adoption.
sentences.
Yep.
Clarifying sentences.
We're agreeing to adopt.
So if we vote, we're agreeing to adopt it with
With those.
specified
Do you
changes.
agree, Molly?
Yes.
Because you brought them up.
Does anybody have any other items to bring up?
Well, we have to go back to the people that make the motion and see that they're okay.
Yeah, me and Chris.
Well,
Yeah, I was going to do that as soon as no, that's okay.
I just wanted to make,
We're moving ahead too.
no, I just wanted to make sure there weren't any other issues to be brought up before we did that.
Okay, I got it now, all right.
If there are no other suggested issues with this, Chris and Tiana, are you both okay with the motion being amended such that we will be approving it with the suggested change, the proposed changes? Okay.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
No, it's okay.
It's okay.
Sometimes I try to, I was.
I love it.
Okay, that brings us to the first portion or first opportunity for comments from the public. Each speaker will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes and the entire public comment period to a maximum of 30 minutes. This may be waived by a majority vote of the board. The board requests that each speaker states their name, residency, and topic of discussion. By law, the board will not permit any public statements regarding individual students or employees. Please be advised that while the board takes public comment very seriously, we are not allowed to comment or respond during the meeting, as this is our opportunity to hear from our stakeholders. Items brought to the attention of the board will be taken under consideration for the future responses or action, or the proper staff member will get back to you at the appropriate time. All that being said, there is also a second opportunity at the end of the meeting. Is there anybody who would like to come forward right now? Okay. Commendations.
Okay, we've got a lot. You ready?
I see that.
Ready.
All right, congratulations to Coach Houston, Coach Montesano, and the Whitney Point varsity field hockey team for winning Class C state title on November 17th, right after our last board meeting. Congratulations to you, all of them.
Wow.
Whitney Point High School Drama Club students Darcy Purdom and Peyton Smith for representing the district very well in WBNGs around the tiers to talk about the club's presentation of Alice in Wonderland. Whitney Point High School Drama Club cast students who coordinated times to visit the CEA in costume to read children's storybooks versions of Alice in Wonderland aloud to students in every classroom. The CEA students were then invited to the high school auditorium for a sneak peek of the production.
And I got a picture with one of them to put into our super evals.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Chris.
We commend our community schools program for another successful parenting class. Participants said that they found it really meaningful and have incorporated things they've learned into aspects of their life. Mr. Jones and the Whitney Point High School Drama Club for their actual production of Alice in Wonderland performances on November 22nd and 23rd. The Whitney Point High School Student Council and Mrs. Cook for preparing holiday food baskets for community members, and for the beautiful trees in the lobby.
They're beautiful. I saw her.
Gorgeous. High school counselor, Mrs. Kanicki for being honored as a New York State Master Counselor through the SUNY Master Teacher Master Counselor Program. We have a number of faculty members involved with this, and it's a pretty rigorous application process. So kudos to them.
I think this is the first one we've seen that's a master counselor.
It's a new thing.
It's a new
Is it?
one,
Okay.
yeah. It's a new master.
Because we've seen the
teacher.
master teachers come
Yeah.
forward, but
Whitney Point 4th through 8th graders selected to participate in the BOCES Engineering Days in November. They had a great time there. TRA's 4th grade students, Maslin Smith, Tyler Gee, Naomi Plouffe, and Ryan Harris for winning first place in the elementary division of the BOCES Engineering Day competition. Yep, to them.
what did-
Andrea is doing a great job.
Wonderful.
is it something that we could ask them to come and,
That's a
show
great
us?
idea.
because we used to do that,
Yes.
and that would be nice
That
to
would be
see.
great.
I would love that.
That would be awesome. Jill Labar and the CEA food staff are coordinating a taste test of Mexican street corn salad for students at the CEA, and they all rated it. High school senior Jason Kopp for recognition by the Career Development Center at Tioga Boces on Monday, November 25th as part of the Student Spotlight Program. Jason was selected as the first student spotlight of the year due to his outstanding contributions as a teacher's aide in the Oak Tree classroom.
Wonderful.
Broome County Executive Jason Garner and legislator Matthew Hildebrand for visiting the Whitney Point varsity field hockey team to congratulate them on their Class C championship. He proclaimed November 26th as Whitney Point Field Hockey Day in Broome County. Whitney Point Community Schools program and the school nurses and the BU social work interns who worked with them, who all worked hard to collect and then distribute Thanksgiving food baskets. 12 boxes were delivered throughout the district. The Whitney Point High School students for the so many, I don't know if you've seen this list. Students for their induction into the National Honor Society on December 5th. Kai Barney, Miranda Burke, Addison Feathers, Brooke Feathers, Mackenzie Harvey, Genevieve Houston, Eleanor Jordan, Connor Juraska, Isabel Keel, Billy Leet, Lauren McGill, Peyton Martin, Noah Miller, Chloe Mullen, Elle Rout, Michelle Sabin, Ryan Smith, Hannah Summers, Olivia Summers, Natalie St. John, Madeline Tyler, and Madeline Zier are now all high school honor society members.
Is that like one of the biggest
Yes,
inductions?
because they are not they're allowing younger underclassmen to be part of it, so they can stay in longer.
Good.
So
That's
I
good
think that's
because
really
it's,
cool. Yes,
because it used to be, it's like,
you're in and then you're like.
and then you're gone.
graduated.
Yeah.
So it's, so I think that's really great. The following Whitney Point varsity volleyball athletes for their individual accomplishments and honors in the IAC and state championships: Billy Leet, IAC MVP and 5th team All-State; Olivia Summers, 1st team All IAC and 6th team All-State; Hannah Summers, 1st team All IAC; Katie Christian, 2nd team All IAC; Bianca Skiba, honorable mention All IAC. Mr. McAllister, Mr. Matthews, Mrs. Pullen, and Mrs. Lacana, and the 6th grade, 6th through 8th grade bands and choruses for their festive performances at the TRA Winter Conference held on December 5th. Mr. Jones, Mrs. Pullen, and the high school bands and choruses for beautiful performance at the high school winter concert held on December 10th. Mr. Jordan and the Whitney Point High School esports team for earning the Southern Tier Rocket League Regional Championship.
I saw that, it was pretty cool.
Awesome.
There's that esports, Molly, that row.
CEA art teacher, Mrs. Hubbard, for culminating an ongoing project over 4 years where students learn and design projects about the Nutcracker. Mrs. D'Antonio, Mrs. Prokop, faculty, staff, students, and their grown-ups for a successful cookies and compassion event held on December 13th. CEA students and families, the Community Schools Program, and Cornell Cooperative Extension for collaborating to collect 717 items for the local food pantry. 40 holiday food boxes will be picked up and delivered on this Thursday, December 19th. And then, so Cornell Cooperative Extension is donating a ton, so I'm getting a big car to go down there. The following Whitney Point varsity field hockey athletes for their individual accomplishments: Peyton Martin, Section 4, 2nd team All-Star; Sadie Short, All-State, NFHCA All-Region, State All-Tournament, Section 4, 1st team All-Star; Kylan Smith, Section 4, 1st team All-Star; Ava Oliver, NFHCA All-Region, I'm not going to say all those letters, Sportsmanship Award, Section 4, 1st team All-Star; Taryn Hitt, State All-Tournament Team, Section 4, 2nd team All-Star;
You missed Anna.
Anna Houston, Section 4, 1st team All-Star; Genevieve, I said Taryn Hitt,
Yeah.
Genevieve Houston, All-State, NFHCA All-Region, State All-Tournament, Section 4, 1st team All-Star; Lauren McGill, Section 4, 2nd team All-Star. They're incredible bunch of athletes.
Yes.
Richard Griffiths and Christopher Lons from SUNY Broome and Christine McKnight from Bennington University for their help on financial aid night for Whitney Point High School seniors. And then, Peyton Fish, Isaac Jordan, Isabel Keel today at Lockheed Martin presented as part of the engineering, New Visions program. It was an incredible presentation. They each were on different teams, and all the people there, the people from Lockheed and the people from the program said that their presentations were like college level presentations.
Cool. Excellent.
I agree. And then also I would just like to please have you take notice of the beautiful artwork that our program has brought here.
We like the colors.
Yeah.
Joanne, it's on the list, but maybe it should be, and maybe I'm wrong, Aaron and Lauren, who set up the store for the kids at CEA? Was that the PTA? Yeah, the PTA set up a store for the kids at the CEA.
And they did it at the TRA as well.
Yeah, and who donated the money for the children if they didn't have money? So they could still spend. Yeah, so even if it, so they got to buy gifts for like their siblings or parents or grandparents. And if a child didn't have cash, they could spend up to $2. So no child had to feel. And
Left out.
And my students just couldn't believe what was happening. So
Mhm.
I know it's not here, but we have so much stuff going on. I just want to say that brought tears to my eyes when I heard what they were doing. So,
And I actually heard from several of the CEA students that came in and were talking about that they were able to do that.
yeah, I just want the PTA to know that. As a parent and as a board member and as an educator, I was impressed.
No, that's good.
You like good things.
We like good things. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Well, especially because it's relevant now.
Absolutely.
Okay, old business, there is none. That brings us to our CEA and pre-K presentation.
Yay.
Thank you for being so patient.
Yes, thank you, ladies.
So, well, it's like that, just as an introduction, I know I'm new, but I'm Erin D'Antonio, I'm the principal at the CEA.
I'm Lauren Prokop, I'm the assistant principal at the CEA.
And as we go through our presentation tonight, we just wanted to share some information on a few main topics. So our behavior plan and school climate efforts so far this year, but also trickle back into last year and planning ahead. Our morning program, opportunities we've been offering this year, family and community engagement, as well as our building level strategic goals. We'll get started.
Easy, do you mind going on that? History. Okay, of the different. We're just trying to make it more.
Full screen up.
There you go. Great, thank you. So first what we wanted to talk about was the behavior plan that we worked on. We worked on it at the end of last school year. So the shared decision-making team got together and we developed a behavior task force with related services teachers and then a teacher from every grade level. So what we decided going into this year was we're going to have a CEA pledge that we're going to say every day. So at the beginning of every single day, the students say these words of affirmation. So I am safe, I am kind, I am respectful, I am responsible, and I am a learner. So this visual on the left is posted in every single classroom and every other, like in the hallways, in the cafeteria. Olivia Dennison and Ange DeVito, two of our second grade teachers, worked on that CEA pledge. So after the shared decision-making team developed those words of affirmation, we wanted to make it easy for teachers to teach their students, what does it mean to be safe? What does it mean to be kind? So what we developed, these are just two of the examples, not all of them, but I am safe, I am kind. What does this look like? What does that sound like? And what does it feel like to be safe at the CEA? So then we dived even further into these words of affirmation and kind of established a new code of conduct. So if a student, we call these the daily promises, right? So if a student doesn't follow one of these promises, what is teacher managed and then what is administrator managed, right? So we also developed a range of consequences or a way to approach the behavior, just so all of the teachers can build capacity to deal with behaviors they might see in their classrooms. Is there anything that I missed there, Mrs. D?
I think really just that we try to approach any, strays from the pledge as an opportunity to learn, right? At the young age that our students are at the CEA, we've got 3 and 4-year-olds up through 8, 9, 10. It's an opportunity to learn, right? It's an opportunity to learn, what consequences do my actions have and how do I repair that moving forward versus like a punitive. So that's where a lot of this work is evident in what we do every day with our kids.
So then just a little bit more about the behavior plan. So at the beginning of the school year, what we did was we had assemblies for each grade level where we reviewed the CEA pledge. So we reviewed with them the looks like, sounds like, and feels like, and then what does this look like in our different spaces, right? So what does this look like on the playground? What does this look like in the cafeteria? And then what does this look like in the classroom? So again, we say the CEA pledge every single morning through live morning announcements through Teams. So that's kind of a platform similar to Zoom. So Mrs. D has a Teams meeting every morning with the whole building. They log in and everyone at the same time, we say the CEA pledge together. On those morning announcements, we also celebrate the students' birthdays. We provide reminders like make sure you wear your snow boots outside, keep your gloves on while you're on the way in, just like little reminders to the students. And we also celebrate attendance as well. Something else that the shared decision-making team decided was to develop a reset room. So this is just an opportunity for students to continue their learning in an alternate setting if their behavior is not meeting the CEA pledge. That is the reset room think sheet. So, and we also use this in the office as well. So we want students to reflect on their behavior and most importantly, learn from their behavior. So what were you feeling in that moment? What happened? This is just a little snip. But then what can we do next time, right? Can we take turns? Can we share our feelings? Can we ask for a break? And then at the end, of course, like everything else we do, we say, let's say the CEA pledge one more time before we return back to our classroom. The goal is for students to continue to learn with their friends at all moments of the day. The goal is to not use the reset room. We want students in their room to reflect on their choices so that way they can continue.
And is it being used now?
How often? It's not really.
For a variety of reasons, but yeah, it's not used very often. It's often where a student just needs, they're de-escalated, they're calm, they're ready to do work, but they just need a little time before they're ready to go back to class. So it might be like doing, the work they missed the morning when they were out of the classroom to a behavior.
So there's a designated staff member for the room? Or is it
We
just-
have different opportunities to pull different people to as need, because we're not gonna assign a staff member. to
No,
that day.
right.
Of
yeah.
course, right?
Right.
That would not be benefiting our students and supporting them day to day. So
Right.
we would pull from different spaces as needed. Sometimes one of us goes into the reset room with the kid, but it's not really used all that often, which is the goal.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we want, is to never use it.
So what we do when we do notice if a student has to go to the reset room, we typically schedule meetings with the teachers just to kind of reflect on what can we do for the student to make them successful in the classroom. Often we build in breaks. We call them reset walks. So Officer Brad takes the students on a reset walk. They make sure that the doors are closed. They go to his office to color. So we do a lot of different things to build in breaks for students if they need it. Sometimes students will come to my office first thing in the morning and I'll review the pledge with them. Sometimes they earn an opportunity to go to Mrs. Irwin's office at the end of the day. to play with their dollhouse or whatever their preferred activity is. So we find for those students that might need more support, we find what do they need and then how can we give that to them? And sometimes we have our weekly care team meeting still. So sometimes that looks like a friendship group. Sometimes that looks like a small group Dyna lesson with incredible years. So after a student does go to the reset room or receives a discipline referral, we try to meet with the teacher to kind of think about and problem solve, what can we do differently? How could we approach and support the student differently?
Lauren, just a quick question. The pledge was incorporated at the beginning of the school year?
The CEA pledge, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
So quick question, compared to last year, because you were here last year, I know that you weren't here last year, Erin. What do you think, have you seen a significant change?
Yeah, there's actually a slide. that comes up.
Look at the next slide.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So
Nice segue.
discipline.
I was getting ahead of my
Nice
time. I'm so excited.
I love that. So of course, there could be many reasons for our decrease
must
in
have missed
discipline
that slide.
referrals. However, 24-25 September through November, we're at 83. Where at that time last year, we were at 198. So that's a pretty significant decrease. Or 0 suspensions. We talked.
I was just gonna ask, how are you in suspensions? That's nice. That's, well, not 3 times for you. Yes, there was.
At this time, there was 20.
In the suspensions.
Oh, yeah.
So part of the reason that this work was done, and we had, there's a lot of challenge, not just here, in all elementary schools.
Right.
Lots of challenging behaviors.
Okay.
And we wanted to really make sure, and obviously the classroom teachers got to make sure that the rest of the class can continue to learn.
Yeah.
But we also don't want kids, one, being suspended when they're 6, 7, 8 years old. And we want them to be learning with their peers. And a lot of it had to do with, well, I don't know what it means. I don't know how to do what you're asking me to do. So how do we make sure that all of these are learning opportunities for kids? As opposed to like sitting in the office or, like I said, escalating to a suspension. And if there's like a frustration that's happening with that child, how can we work with them to build their skill set? And so that committee and Lauren did an excellent job of trying to make sure that we're teaching the things that we expect.
Yes.
That we're giving little ones the opportunities for breaks that they need, it's a long school day. And then providing whatever other supports we need to have.
I
in
like the
place.
sound of the reset walk.
Yeah.
I do too. This is.
My dad used to
great.
do that with us too.
Only walk to the woodshed.
I think I might incorporate that at work. Let's have a reset.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. So like Joanne said, the day is so long. So our math block is an hour, the reading block is an hour. So sometimes some students between, teachers do movement breaks, but some students just need to get out of the room and just reset, get water,
And then they're fine. And they're right back
fine
into
and
it.
they're ready to learn.
That is amazing.
Better than the blue room.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
I didn't
So
like
I
the blue.
just had a quick question.
Yes.
The numbers, that's amazing. That's great.
Yes, it is.
That's fantastic to see. Is some of that some of these behaviors are then not being redirected, but they're being taken care of in the room so that, there might still be issues, but instead of being passed on, they have now the tools to take care of it inside the room instead of necessarily pushing them out. So the numbers are great.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
that's a tricky thing to try to measure, but certainly there was a lot of that groundwork was laid.
But the students going out and then being away from the class and that time is definitely, no matter what, is now gone. So that's fantastic.
Amazing. Came up with the pledge. It was a committee.
It was
It was a
Vito
committee.
and-
I would say mostly Cheryl Titterensel, one of our
Phenomenal.
kindergarten
I just
teachers.
would like
Yeah.
to say
Mhm.
phenomenal, and that you actually took the time to explain it to the kids, like, what does it look like?
Mhm.
It just, I can't even say enough.
I like that look like, sound like.
I
feel like.
love that.
Yeah, and those posters are around the
Yeah,
building
they're
as
every
well. And then a lot of our aides on their badges, they have a little looks like, sounds like, feels like, so that way when they're redirecting behavior, they can say, remember, a safe body looks like using your walking feet in the classroom.
So I don't want to interject too much, but I'm just going to say it's to back up. So mid-year last year, we did, and actually all 3 buildings, a sort of like pause and survey and then meetings in each building about what's getting in the way of student learning. Like in all three buildings, obviously it looks different in all three buildings. And so this was one subcommittee that, so the challenging behaviors was one of the things that was getting in the way, right? And so they had a subcommittee that dealt with that. They had, they had a number of things. We prioritized, tackled things, and then groups of people came and gave up their time to work on solutions. We were trying to be, so they did a great work.
Exceptional.
I think it seems counterintuitive, but it's like, do this. And I think that the district moving forward saying, this is how this happens, because it just assumed that you don't know what's being modeled at home. I mean, so a lot of times you know what is because that's what they know. So I love that this is what you should be doing and not just saying you should be better. This is how you be better. This is how we do this. I think that that's fantastic. And it's just something that seems so like, oh, of course, but it just doesn't get done.
Right.
Yep.
So I love this.
Thank you. Yeah, like the opportunity to teach the students, what does being safe,
Exactly.
what does that mean, teach them, right? Another thing that we're doing this year, our counselor, she did it in the past, but she started in May of last year again, but she's pushing into rooms for social emotional lessons and she's asking the teachers, what trends are you noticing in your rooms? So she's going in, and she's focusing a lot on teaching students how to solve their own problems. So what's a small problem that we can solve on our own and what's a big problem? And then she kind of gives them different strategies. Other things that she's working on is, and the community schools team, how to recognize emotions within yourself and within others. How do we manage and make new friends? How do we ask somebody to play appropriately? So there's just many different things that we're doing that I think have led to the decrease.
I need that poster for my office at work.
I love it. It's just phenomenal.
Seriously, I really do.
I'd like a copy for the library.
Library, that would be actually, I'm sure.
Actually, I think that's a really great idea.
Yeah. If you guys have the graphic and you could email it, that would be fabulous. Because
We have a lot of kids that.
if I can help reinforce that and.
So then I'll just, attendance has improved. So what we're doing all the things that we were doing, right? With, Mr. Kuchar's continuing our home visits, providing families with reminders. Again, the shared decision-making team or the guiding coalition last year, we got together, like, what can we do to increase attendance? And this was one of our teachers' ideas. What we do this year is every classroom has a poster on their door that says attend dance. And when the whole class is there, they color in a letter. When the whole class is there again, they color in another letter. When they color in the whole poster, we have an attend dance celebration where we bring musical instruments and just kind of celebrate that they reached that goal of good attendance. So.
And they didn't have.
And I've
heard of the CEA.
So you don't see any kind of peer pressure with that if somebody's out and they don't get their letter that day?
I haven't. That's a really good question. So.
I just know some of these positives, like we try to encourage good behavior, and so students that might not have been doing it get rewards. It kind of goes in the face of the ones that are always good and they're not getting any. So I've seen it many different ways. So I look at it a little differently and try to.
Individual reward and group rewards would be a good thing, is what you're saying. Like,
Kind of, but I know for perfect attendance, if the room next door gets to do it and we didn't miss it today because so-and-so's out again today.
We have so many dance parties, like, it's
Okay.
really like, the day you do it, usually within that day or the next day.
Okay, so they're not, it's
not like you're saving up
market,
and
it's
you-
goals that you can hit and it's not gonna, okay.
Yeah, and it,
Okay, I was just worried that if somebody kept being out every day and they didn't get to dance because so-and-so was out. that
yeah,
day.
from what I'm hearing from the kids,
Okay.
it's more obtainable. It's not,
No, that's great. I love it.
you take into account that there are going to be absences, but.
Right, and if there's like an extreme circumstance, we just tell the teacher, just color the letter in. We know that this family's gonna be out all week or something like that.
Glad to hear. That's great.
So
I'm sorry, but I have to leave. The concert's already over down there.
So
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
I can fill you in.
I know what I see over there. My students are blessed to be part of your program. And they keep saying, they all wanted to stay. 17 of them stayed.
that's amazing.
I have 20 student teachers, 17 asked to stay. And so they're all
That's a
gonna
lot.
keep on going. So thank you. Sorry, I have to leave early.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
So then this is just something that we started back up this year. I wasn't here before COVID, but I'm pretty sure that this is what they did before COVID. So it was Jackie Atwood came to my office at the end of last year and was like, I have a vision, and was just really excited about it, and she really wanted to bring this back.
Yeah, it was fun.
She
It was
established her
absolutely
own committee. She went around, found people that, she felt would be a really good force to kind of start this back. So we returned to whole school morning program. So that's it was K through 3. Next month, it'll be pre-K through 3. So all of the students come to the cafeteria. We say the pledge. Again, everything is tied back to that pledge. We celebrate birthdays. So there's birthday fairies on roller skates that if your birthday was next month, they kind of bring you a birthday pencil. And then we reinforce the monthly character trait. So every month there's a different character trait that we focus on. September was friendship. I think November was responsibility. This month is compassion. So we kind of talk about that. But what's really great about this year is that we're having the students kind of put on skits to teach the rest of their peers about their character trait. Also, students kind of showcase their skills and anything that they've been learning in the classroom. So they put on a lot of songs for us. And then we made these little tickets to recognize students demonstrating those character education words that in action, right? So we have these little coupons, they're about this big, every adult has them. And if you see a student showcasing compassion, you just kind of give them a ticket and write on the back kind of what they did to demonstrate that. And next, I want to show, I hope this works. There's a video. Oh, here's some lovely pictures.
More photos.
More photos, because they're so excited. So Miss Dennison's class, they taught everybody about maybe, I don't remember what the trait was. Regardless,
I don't remember.
to the tune of Taylor Swift, Shake It Off.
Oh my gosh.
That's Mr. Samsel every morning and morning program. He tells he dresses up and tells a joke.
Aww.
And yeah, so those are just some pictures of them putting on shows.
Oh, good.
And this,
works.
I really hope this works. This is a video of Mackenzie Grimes. She is our kindergarten teacher, but in addition to that, she's a really, she's really great at music. So, and she was actually our music teacher during summer school, but she wrote and recorded a song all about the CEA pledge.
So we can't see it? We don't have access?
Can you click request access? Try and do it. It's not gonna come to me.
It's streaming device. That's what it.
There's an account called Streaming Events.
Yeah.
That's what we use for the webinars.
You can't make it anyone.
It was in, I don't know if you can pull up this.
Can you pull up
actual
the
slides that
slideshow we
sent
sent you in Google Drive?
That should work.
Maybe Google Slides.
She's not on her account.
Okay.
Oh,
We will have to showcase it to you at some.
yes,
We'll find it.
it's so wonderful.
Adorable.
Oh,
Well, if you send it to me, I can send it to them via email.
Okay,
that would be wonderful. So what was the video again? It was.
so it's the CEA pledge
Okay.
and it goes, I am safe, I am kind.
Oh, so it's just
Whitney
singing to the
Point
flag.
Eagles, see me shine. Respect and.
Go Lawrence, go
And then it's like, sometimes my feelings might make me sad. These feelings don't make me bad. I can take a deep breath and count to 10. I'm calm and ready to learn again. So it's just like this amazing,
Nice.
beautiful song. All of the kids
love
sing it.
it.
You're gonna love it.
That is
I'm so bummed to keep
great. I love
missing
that
it,
you can actually recite it. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that. I love it.
Step curtsy, right?
It
It's
sounds
not
like you guys
it's not
are-
my musical talent, but.
No, it
the
sounds like
music
you guys
video
are
will be
doing a
much
lot of
better.
great things there. This is great.
I'm glad you brought back morning program for the whole school. My girls absolutely loved morning program. And when they had the whole school there, it was just
So nice to share.
I think it's.
So another, since we don't have the video, we will just keep moving forward. We've been really working, and especially for me personally, right, being new to the Whitney County School District and the community. One thing I've been really working intentionally on is engagement, right, with families in the community so that people know, you know, who I am and I can learn more about our families and our students. So we've been doing a lot of efforts as a building to really reach right, our audience. So we sent home a weekly newsletter on Friday afternoons highlighting really, you know, it can be some special events, like if we had a morning program that week, if there was, a family engagement event, things like that, but also just the day-to-day work that our teachers and our students are doing, right? It's not meant to be a showcase of spectacular, but just this is the work of the school. So it might be different pieces with the new curriculum, things like that, artwork, we're studying art, something they did in library, things like that, upcoming events, information for families, important dates. Make sure you don't forget your mittens. It's cold outside. It's a big thing. Don't forget your mittens. We talk about it a lot, but things like that. So that's blasted to families through Remind and through Thrill Share every Friday at 4 p.m. on the dot, so that they can kind of look forward to that and have that update. Tons of pictures in it, right? We put a lot of pictures in there so that you can find your child, right? You can see your kid and see what's going on in the building. We hosted open house, the Halloween parade. I'm going to let you click to the next slide because we're going to highlight some of these events. So back to school at the start of the school year, we welcome our families into the building as much as we can at the start of the school year. So the open house the night before school starts is really important. That was like unbelievable turnout. Everyone in all of Whitney Point came through the CEA. It was a lot of people, and really starting to foster that partnership between the school and families, because starting the year off on that foot is really critical for students, especially at such a young age. And then we end that first week of school with mini roast. So the PTA sponsors that, so you can see some photos from there on the brand new playground also. Checking a lot of boxes with this slide here. So on that Friday evening, we welcome families to come on out and have dinner on the playground with their teachers, serving up some hot dogs, and PTA sponsors that event. So really partnering kind of in a lot of ways, right? We've got PTA, we've got our school staff, we've got families coming in, and we can just spend some time together, which is great. So really just kind of setting that tone from the very beginning. Here. This is just a few examples, snips of the newsletter. I know you can't actually see anything there. It's super, super tiny. But just kind of what it looks like. It's a one pager. It's not meant to be text heavy. I try to deliver photos because they speak for themselves, right? I mean, when I look at my daughter's newsletters, I want to see her face, right? I want to try to find her in the work that's. So really just highlighting again the day-to-day of what learning we're working through. Where our students are shining, and all the amazing things our staff does for our kids. So we just really try to highlight those things. Veterans Day, so honored to be part of this year. So this is a tradition at the CEA. So our music department first to prepare all of the students in the building. So every student that attends music class learned a patriotic song, and they learned 4 different songs, and like songs that I was not even familiar with. So very unique, special songs. They each learn a song to perform, and we canvass all of our families for any veterans that could come in to be honored. So we had, I think, a little over 30 veterans come in. You can see them kind of lined up on the stage there, all different ages and stages, different branches of the military, as well as wars that they served in. So quite a broad spectrum. And we did Brandon Hildebrand, you can see him on the top right there, performing with the students. So we had our guests of honor on the stage, and our students were on the floor to honor them. And it was just amazing, incredibly heartwarming. Pictures speak for themselves, of course, but the sweetest thing to me towards the end, the older kids were singing, so they're in the back of the auditorium, and the veterans were on the stage filming the kids singing. It was just the sweetest thing. Like they wanted to capture the kids when we were really there to honor them. So it was really, really heartwarming and sweet. And just a whole school collective effort. We decorated the halls with student writing and student artwork. And each veteran was presented with a flower that you can see in the photos, but also like a memento from one of the children. So some piece of writing or artwork that they could take. So that was just a great, again, bringing our community into the building and teaching the students how important that is, right? We'll keep rolling. I'm so sad Chris is gone because our partnership with SUNY Portland in the education program. So the practicum students you can see in the top right there planned and hosted a math and science night for the CEA, and I will say they did every single thing for this. Chris said, "This is the date," and I said, "Great." And then that was it. We were there and we helped with, logistical things that night, but like they planned soup to nuts, every single thing. It was incredibly well attended. We had I think right around 100 guests that came for that evening, and there was other things. It was election day, so like there was other things going on in the world for people to be going and doing, but they made time to come out and really do some fun and engaging things. Great opportunity for our pre-service teachers to gain some experience with interfacing with families and community members as well. So that was a wonderful event. And then we'll get to less cute things when we talk about our goals. So the CEA identified 2 goals that align with our district level goals. So of the district level strategic planning, these are 2 goals from that pool. So our building specifically wants to clarify and align systems and structures to increase efficiency, improve morale, and enhance communication. And our second goal, of course, is aligned with student achievement. So increasing the percentage of students meeting or exceeding efficiency on math and ELA assessments through, the number of shares listed there. In the spirit of time, we'll keep rolling. So goal 1, we've done a lot of work. This was work that was very approachable for me, right? As someone new coming into the building, of how can we work to increase efficiency and get some of these systems in place. So a few things we've done, we shifted to a completely electronic lunch count, which seems very simple, but that staff time preserved every day of someone not sitting and counting paper lunch tallies every day and adding that up. So we did a quick Google form. It's every teacher has access to the link, they fill it out, and then all the totals for every lunch choice are tallied for the whole building, the cafeteria staff. So that's a simple way to streamline, productivity in their time in the cafeteria, so that the time can be spent doing their job, which is to prepare the delicious meals that they do, right? Not sit and tally up our lunch. So another example to the right, you can see the CEA week ahead. This was another long-standing tradition. I believe this was when I visited in June. This was something the staff shared with me that they felt was very helpful and important, was to have a document each week that comes out from the office of this is what's coming in the week ahead, literally. So we highlight staff birthdays, we highlight the menu choices. I do some messaging. So I send some messages to the staff there, links to all those important things like lunch count and where to get the staff sign up sheet. And then each day, if there's special events or meetings, they're also detailed there. So really just trying to collect all the information from lots of places into one for a manageable of time, because there's just a lot going on. And then we have a hyperlinked calendar. So things are underlined because they're linked. I learned that today. I know things that are linked or underlined. I didn't know that was a signal not to use underlines anymore. So that's interesting. Now we know that, but really just kind of, again, capturing things in one place so that people can access them quickly. And we spoke a little bit about the morning announcements. We do those live every day, which really, again, just opens that line of communication that's very direct to all of the rooms. Which is super fun. Let me start. And then goal 3 obviously is connected to student performance and the number of students meeting and exceeding proficiency on a variety of assessments that we administer to our students. So this is some work that's going to take some time to take hold, right? We're going to need some time to see the fruits of these labors. So this year at the CEA, we are implementing the fish tank ELA curriculum, the Eureka Math Squared curriculum, Pegrity for UVK 4. So that's a lot of work. That's a heavy lift. So, you know, we're eager to see how that, you know, plays out as we continue to move forward. But a lot of the work here is very intentional to implement those things with fidelity in response to student needs, response to student growth, which we measure and talk about weekly at our PLC meetings. So grade level teams meet once in a 6-day cycle for an hour to really dig into what's going on, where are we in our curriculum, how are our students responding. We're able to start offering some extended PLC times for additional planning. So we've had some teams say, we need a little more time. Can we have a half an hour? And our kids, you know, instead of morning meeting, you know, with us, they'll do that with our support staff, and we get that time to continue to plan for the next module or look at assessment data. So accommodating those things. We have our universal screening tools that we use to kind of take those temperature checks throughout the year. So I writing math and reading. And then Dibbles and Phonics measure those, you know, more discrete reading skills that on the science of reading. And we continued the work with our MTSS process to provide and track ongoing interventions based on current student data that can be academic or behavioral. Here's just a quick snap. That's literally just the definition from the websites of those curriculums. So you know, I know we're in the spirit of time. They're there. And then this is just again, a snapshot of how will we know if these things are, you know, doing what we're expecting and supporting our students in the way we think and anticipate that they will. So one way we will do that is start measuring it, right? Yep. So we looked at our baseline data. This is just again, a little snip of kindergarten of when our kids walk in the building, where are they? Here's where they were. So as we benchmark throughout the year, we'll you know, track that out and see, are they responding to our instruction in the way we anticipate? And if they didn't, why not? And what are we going to do now? And if they did, how do we do more of that? How do we replicate that in other spaces? So that's something that will be an ongoing effort.
So they're coming in, this is how the kindergartners are coming in.
That was our baseline data on one measure, they also had the Dibbles measure. So 24% of the kindergartners were at or above grade level in like the second week of school.
Only 24%. Okay,
Which is
so,
pretty typical, you know.
but how many of those students have had preschool going into kindergarten?
Right, I don't have that number.
But a large number,
But yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
So maybe like looking at the preschool curriculum.
Mhm.
It helps.
Yeah,
And that's one of the
what we
new
did.
ones.
Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
implemented.
So you may have that EP implementation of the UP4, that'll help get that data point, right?
Yeah, so that's a phonemic awareness curriculum for pre-K 4.
So I just wanted to ask too, to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
So 24% are at what you would want them to be at the end of the year? Or is this is 24% are at where they should be, they should be 100% on that day one, and they're 24% have that on that day?
You're
Okay.
looking to be at 100%, just so we know what the metric, I mean,
No, but I mean,
well,
Yes.
coming in, this is their own, so they're at a quarter.
right.
And it should be 100 on day one. It's
We
not
want
a
it.
target for down at the end of the year. This is coming in. So, yeah, that's.
I guess just with so much preschool that most children have these days, and especially full day preschool,
Mhm.
it's just very disappointing.
I'm not disappointed in this number, I'm gonna tell you why. This kindergarten's hard, right? Kindergarten is hard. The transition from pre-K to K is significant. And this is a type of assessment that this is a brand new type of assessment that they wouldn't have seen in pre-K, right? So sitting and having to perform, it's like a verbal and a paper pencil task that the kids do. This is like their first experience ever. Like, this is really, really baseline data.
So what are they testing? I'm sorry.
Dibbles is
Yeah.
like
So
letter
it's letter
sound.
names and letter sounds.
So they're not
Beginning of the
recognizing
year.
letters?
So that,
Sounds?
another thing with the Dibbles assessment, again, it's the first time they've seen it, it's timed. So they have never been used to, it's a timed, you have 1 minute to say all the letters that you know, and the teacher points to them. So what we're thinking about doing is in pre-K is we're more concerned with how many do they know,
That's an
right?
odd thing that it's timed.
It has to be though.
Right, this is just like, this is a dipstick measure, the teachers are doing ongoing progress.
No, I
For
understand.
sure, it's really just a quick, it's meant to be quick, and this image is the composite score, so. Kindergarten probably wasn't the best one to show because of the complications of starting kindergarten, it's the first time doing that assessment, and I think there's some tests.
Do you think the transition
There's a
from
lot of
kindergarten to
stuff.
first is better because they have kind of a,
They have that
They've
assessment.
had
they
that
have this, because pre-K and kindergarten, it sounds like are very different.
Yeah.
So then another thing that it's called nonsense word fluency, which the pre-K students haven't seen before. So which we
It's so
anticipate will be
hard.
better. So what they'll show is the word, like a made up word, nog, like it's like all.
It's a nonsense word, it's a word that's not a word.
It's a word that's not a word, just to see if the students have know the sounds to be able to decode it still. So they have assessments at the beginning of the year that they wouldn't have had in preschool. And it's the assessments start in kindergarten.
Okay.
That's why. So they've never seen those assessments before.
Sure.
And can I just say, so like the reason that you give them at the beginning of that year is so that you can see the growth in
The metric,
kindergarten,
yeah.
because that's where suddenly you're really,
Yes.
although now that they're introducing integrity in pre-K, we now know that kids need to be exposed to some of those things earlier, but like you said, it's truly a baseline.
Yes.
So that we can really measure the growth that we're sure that we're
Moving
gonna see.
forward.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not just testing, like what letters they know and what sounds they know. It's also teaching them how to be assessed.
It really, I mean, really, you have to
That's
learn
sad.
what sitting for an assessment is,
Well-
and it's fine, it's 1 minute.
No, it is, it's sad that a
It's short.
kindergartner has to sit through an assessment. I mean, that's just my personal. you
And they're
know,
it's individual, I
I
mean, what's good
understand that
about
you have to have
tables,
baseline. I
it's
understand that.
individually administered,
Yeah.
which is, it's one-on-one with an adult that they know, it's not sitting, like for a computer adaptive test or something like that. And it's 1 minute, so it's pretty short, there's several probes, but they're each 1 minute. And then after they do that initial baseline, our intervention teachers, our reading teachers and math teachers go in often to do check-ins on, maybe we're gonna really focus on this one subtask, or we've been working on letter sounds, so we're gonna check letter sounds with kids. So then they might do just one of those assessments. This is representative of all those subtasks, which is kind of a mishmash of information. It doesn't really paint a clear picture of where a kid is really struggling or where they need to go next. So, like Joanne said, it's really to say, like, here's the baseline of implementation of all these wonderful things, but how will we know, right? So this is one way to start looking at, like, where are we going and how will we know if we're getting there? Change takes some time, right? And I think we're headed in the right direction. We've got a lot of good things going on. There's a lot of great work happening, but we have to start measuring it somewhere. So we're gonna kind of see where we're at. And
How often will you guys do your metrics?
3 times a year. The next one's in January.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just would like to maybe, just, because I agree, but it maybe came across wrong. It's not pointing fingers. It's just, as a community, that's pretty upsetting. That's where our kindergartners are at when they come in, given all the pre-K that goes on in our district, so it wasn't anything personal. It's just, as a community, that's pathetic.
We have an
I mean, it
exceptional
really, that-
program that people take advantage of, or not advantage. They respond well to that, and many of us did not get that opportunity. So seeing that number is a bit disappointing. Again, no fault on yours.
typical?
Is it?
I mean, I don't think this, like, to me, this did not alarm me. Because, I mean, the shifts, I mean, Lauren can speak to pre-K till cows come home. We're not gonna do that tonight, but like, the focus and the nature of instruction and learning in pre-K and the focus and nature of instruction and learning in kindergarten are like, you wouldn't think they were the same thing.
Okay.
They look so different. Pre-K is very experience-based, it's very play-based. There's a whole spectrum of things that they're instructing on and measuring. And then in kindergarten, it really, of all the wonderful things we talked about, the focus really is academic. So there's a big just shift for kids going from pre-K to K and learning in nap time, like it
Sure.
they nap in kindergarten, in pre-K, and then they come to kindergarten and it's like all day, full day school, we don't have a nap, multiple times to go outside and play in kindergarten. It's a big, big change. And this was like the first full week of school that we did this measure. So there's I think there's a lot of factors at play. So I'm very eager to see,
Yeah.
the rest of the year that we had. Obviously we want our kids to be successful and making those gains. So yeah, it just was just representative of some of the ways that we're gonna measure those things and happy photos because nothing makes us happier than seeing kids.
Those are great.
Yeah, just candid snapshots from the year, so.
Well, great job, ladies. I love all the things you're doing. I'm very excited to see the progress and just accolades on everything you're doing. It's amazing. Big differences from last year's presentation. So nice job.
Thank you very much.
I
Yeah,
have
thank you.
I have a real quick question, because I've been
Thank you,
asked this over and over and over, and I was like, oh, I can do this today. There's a CEA reminder app that goes out on the phones. How do you get off from that? My wife and my grown daughter get those every
My
week.
newsletters every week.
I want to see it.
They were getting it, they're going, how come I'm getting it? I said, I have
They
nothing to
must
do
be
with it.
registered somehow. Not sure.
Do you deregister?
You must have to.
They tried to, how do you do?
The VPN. I'm not sure. But we can have them-
Okay, I can check it. I
Yeah,
didn't mean
you can
to
reach
just,
out.
but it's like, I get asked all the time, and it's like,
So-
oh, we got another one. I know what's going on at the CEA. I'm like,
A great way to communicate.
oh, it's great. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you both so much, Sharon.
Thank you.
and Lauren.
Okay, this brings us to the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana, and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Molly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We have a group of appointments here. Abigail Turner, full-time teacher's aide, effective November 13th, 2024. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I have Tom and Tiana. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Jessica Diedrich, special education teacher, term substitute, effective December 9th, 2024. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Aubrey? Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Alyssa Lewis, special education teacher in the special education teacher tenure area. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Effective January 6th, 2024. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. And a second? Thank you, Aubrey.
I'm sorry. Aye.
Oh, thank you.
That's fine.
Tiana and Aubrey, okay with,
Yeah.
thank you. I didn't notice that either, so, and I said it out loud.
Retroactive.
Hmm?
Retroactive.
Yeah.
There you go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Appointment amendments. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the amendment to appointment language, eliminating references to the old APPR requirements and replacing it with, in accordance with New York State law, regulation, and the collective bargaining agreement between the Whitney Point Teachers Association and the Whitney Point School District, following appointments. I am not going to read all of these out loud.
I'm gonna ask you to add on your one.
Okay.
I'm just gonna know Brandon Hildebrandt. Music teacher tenure area. Dates 9/1/2023 to 8/31/2027.
Any others?
No, do you want me to comment now? Just for the
Um,
public?
Don't we have to do a motion?
Yeah.
Could I have a motion?
So,
Tom and Tiana, the TTs.
The TVs. Thanks, Tom.
Now you may.
Okay, so just to clarify for anybody who's interested, we're all the appointments for the people who have not yet received tenure, who had language in their appointment when they were hired that included specific language about APPR, which is no longer in effect. We are changing their appointments to just make it, as Stephanie just said, the same date, but consistent with New York State law, regulation, and the collective bargaining agreements.
And so as New York State law changes, the requirements will change with that, and we won't have to do this again. Any questions from the board? All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Any abstain? Teacher substitute teacher rates. We are going to do aid substitute is minimum hourly wage as per New York State law. Daily non-certified teacher substitute, $105 a day for 6.5 hours. Daily certified teacher substitute, $140 per day for 6.5 hours. Long-term certified teacher substitute, $165 per day by approval of the superintendent, $17.50 per hour. No, I'm sorry, by approval of superintendent, and then LPN substitute is $17.50 per hour. Up to 89 days in the same assignment, no retroactive pay for previous daily work, no benefits. Term certified teacher substitute, salary and benefits per teachers association contract. This is for a finite period of time equal to a semester or more in duration. No retroactive pay for previous daily or long-term work. Substitute teachers working a half day, half the hours of a full day substitute will receive half the pay rate for the appropriate substitute category. May I have a motion.
so moved.
Thank you, Tiana, and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Benny. Any questions or comments?
So yeah, we look at these rates every year. With the raising of minimum wage, we had to raise our daily non-certified teacher sub rate. So in that resolution, the bold ones are actually what changed. So it was $100 a day, going up to $105 a day. And then again, just looking at the overall pay scale of certified teacher subs and recognizing the responsibility of that role. We previously were paying $120 a day. Again, just trying to keep up with that whole minimum wage stagnation of pay. We want to bump up that pay rate from $120 a day to $140.
Thank you for that explanation.
Any questions from the board?
You know, I disagree with. But
Because it's not enough, right?
it's ridiculous,
It
but
is.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I
real
understand.
quick, is it comparable to what other districts of our size are paying, Zach?
Some, yes,
Yeah.
some are, way above the scale, but
When I say comparable to us, we're not comparing ourselves to Maine and well,
no, I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
right?
No, again, our pool of subs is typically, local, and that's what we get from. It's hard when you're competing with the Binghamton market. For people to want to drive all the way up here, I mean, you really have to pay a premium for that type of sub, and we're not in a place where we can do that.
But are we losing our locals that are gonna drive to Binghamton? I mean,
don't think so.
that's more what I'd be worried
I
about.
really don't think so.
So it's comparable,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Zach.
All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Any abstain? Extra classroom corrective action plan. Addressing the June 30th, 2024 extra classroom audit report. May I have a motion?
so moved.
Thank you, Tiana. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Molly. Any questions or comments?
So this was, again, based off of the external audit report that was presented to us back in October. We did have findings in the extra classroom report. Legally, we have to respond to that within 90 days. This is, again, the letter that we will send to the comptroller to fill that requirement.
Can I just, I know I had heard it, I couldn't remember why, but what was with the gift baskets?
Yeah, so again, they ran
The
with
raffle
sample
baskets, that's what I meant.
testing. They happened to pick, it was in high school. Again, they had a good thought of trying to raise funds. They had a gift basket. But again, when they seek people to put money in for the gift basket, comptroller looks at it as a form of gambling, and gambling is not allowed in the public school district. Typically, there's a process for fundraisers. There should be profit and loss statement. It should be submitted to the superintendent's office. We typically see those. We would catch that earlier in the process. This one wasn't really done in that format.
So raffles,
Should never
so what
be-
about like 50-50 raffles then that are
They're
done at
they're
the?
not endorsed by the school district.
Okay,
We
those
have
are
partner
done by the-
organizations that may
Right, right,
conduct.
so
those
another,
for
like
school property.
a parent organization
Like the
could do it.
Eagles Nest Booster Club can do
Right.
those.
They do it
Yeah.
like during the basketball games or something, so
Right,
they
and
can do that, but it's a,
So the students can't do the raffle baskets, but parent organizations or
Yeah.
thing, okay.
It's actually a board policy, like, again, being a public school district, we can't solicit public or financial donations per se. Again, unless there's a circumstance approved by the superintendent. But
Okay.
again, gambling, anything that is in that sphere, being a public school district, we avoid it. Again, we find ways to work with partnering organizations to obviously recognize that goes on. I don't want to say too much else about it.
Oh, no, I couldn't remember and, okay, that clarifies, students can't do it, but.
Yeah.
The adult
Other
organizations
organizations.
can do it. Okay. Thank you. Yep.
good question.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? We all had a list of computer systems to be disposed of. May I have a motion? Thank you, Tiana. And a second? Thank you, Aubrey. And again, these are things that are absolutely not worth trying to repair, keep going.
No, we experimented before trying to sell some of these to varying companies. It's a lot of work for the profit. It's really not worth it. Our IT department's really good. Again, they go through, they cannibalize anything they can, spare parts and fix things along the way. And this is a company, they basically pay you a very small fee for the waste, but it's getting disposed of properly. So it's really, they're doing us a favor and taking it off right.
And that is a concern, so it doesn't end up
Yep.
in the landfill.
This is a new vendor too, I guess I should just say it. There was a previous one used exclusively for like the last 10 years. And again, there were some issues with that company. So BOCES actually rebid this out of what company would like to come around to the region for this electronic pickup. And this is a new one that's been used a few times and it's been pretty successful.
Any questions from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education of the Whitney Point Central School District approve the 2024 through 2027 contract between the superintendent of the Whitney Point Central School District and the Whitney Point Administrators Association dated November 12th, 2024. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Tiana. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Benny. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? A superintendent update.
I think the only big thing that probably you might want to talk about is the fact that the governor did sign that bill to have heat limits on when we can be in session. But it's not as extreme as I don't think it's as extreme as originally proposed. But it says if classroom spaces get to be 82 degrees, you have to have like procedures in place to like mitigate essentially. So, turn off lights, fans, things like that.
Okay.
But when it gets to be 88 degrees in the classroom setting, you can't have class in those spaces. So, but then there's some language about having alternates, working with districts, that she's made a statement, what does it say, that she's gonna clarify the process by which schools adopt extreme mitigation policies, as well as ensuring school districts have flexibility to determine how best to manage learning on extreme heat days. Like, we're not really sure what that means exactly. To be the biggest concerns that we have, and I think we talked about this at the end of last year when we had those hot days.
Yep.
Is the second floor on CRA.
Yep.
Even with like doing everything that we can to mitigate and putting mobile air conditioning units in there, it just gets so hot.
What was the hottest, that it got up?
Well,
Do you recall?
it was over 88 degrees with air conditioners running, with, opening windows at night and shades drawn and everything that we could do to try and. So, it was very hot those days.
Right,
So,
yeah.
We don't get those many days. I mean, we have some air conditioned spaces. I mean, we'll have to, figure out the best thing we want to do. I mean, obviously, we don't want to close school for that.
So do you have to know that in advance and close the day before or the morning of, or say, oh, it's getting hot, we gotta go home
Well, we
early?
actually everybody had like an early release.
Yeah.
Remember that? There was
Yeah.
extreme heat. Well, I mean, that's what we have to figure out with the fine. Yeah, either you have to come up. I've been surprised by how many schools have full air conditioning. You can move students to an air conditioned space. So like the TRA has the auditorium. I mean, technically you could fit everybody in there.
Because usually the temperature, that's only gonna go up after a certain point in the morning.
Right,
Right, so it
right.
would just be for a small part of the day if you had to move the students, correct?
Right. Well, yes, unless it's like day after day after day of
Right.
heat. I mean, so we don't,
So
I
it
don't
never
know.
cools down,
Depends.
have a chance to
Right.
cool down at night.
So we're just going to have to keep an eye on things, I mean, we have air conditioner units that we've gotten for summer program that are mobile. And we put them wherever we needed to. So I think in most spaces, we'd probably be able to figure something out. It's probably that second floor, we may have to relocate kids.
Do we have a budget to purchase more of those units?
More units, yeah.
Affordable ones, yes, building wider.
Building
No, I
wide, we
mean,
looked
yeah,
at
I mean,
building
I'd love to
wide.
get a grant for that.
It is a
Right, you're
fortune,
gonna make the rule about a grant.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, it's a fortune. Like Joanne talked about this a few times, a
Yeah.
few years ago.
Right.
It's a fortune.
But it's the TRA that's the primary because of the second.
Right.
But they could go third floor, because that is air conditioning.
Yeah.
There you go, so now they have another space.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, so we'll stay on top of it.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing that
Anything
to
else?
us.
The only other thing I was gonna
Okay.
kick, this is maybe Chris is not here, so we'll talk, we need to at some point talk about a student member.
Yes.
I was wondering when that was gonna happen.
Yeah, they're supposed to be putting some guidelines out, which they have not yet, but,
Okay.
we meet once a month, so probably next month, we should start to talk about what our process, because we have to decide what our process is gonna be.
Gonna be,
Yeah.
and how we go about selecting a student.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, gosh, Tom said a raffle. Put your name in the basket if you're interested. We're gonna draw a name.
Maybe, I'm just throwing this out as food for thought, maybe if there are students who are interested, we have an application, short application, maybe they need to get 2 recommendations from teachers and then
Yeah.
we start with that.
They just run for election.
Student, or like a student election too.
Yeah.
Some people use student council for that. Some people-
I love
We
that
should have a
idea.
job description too, though, so they know what it entails.
Yeah, and they're different, right now, districts who have this, the student's role is different depending on the district. But all have protections in place, obviously,
Yeah.
confidential things have to be careful, but,
And I believe one of the things that that the state has said that they'd be a non-voting
Right.
member.
I'm
But they-
saying
but they
late-
have-
late, if they get out earlier, they're allowed to leave before the end or so, just.
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah.
The only
So-
thing I don't like about the election is sometimes with elections, only popular kids get voted. where if we do a application process, sometimes those kids have an opportunity because it's being looked at by adults.
Or because it's something they're interested in
Right.
doing. And that would be my thing is just.
Yes.
The students just
Yes.
get it signed.
Before we go any further, because it's 8:30,
Oh.
the students, we are going to release you. Before you go, you need to make sure that you have your name and the date and what the meeting was on your slip, because we do not sign any blank slips. And any one of us at this table can sign off for you. 202. That's usually the one I put. Because isn't that the general? Yeah.
830.
But all the students don't come.
Yeah, that's, but yeah, either one. they come in video.
Yeah.
692.
Mine 656 when I did it. I have a pretty long
Did you have one?
6 now.
I did not meet Dan before this, because I didn't know it was gonna be that long, so I would call it 100.
We never know that it's gonna be that. There you go. You're welcome. Have a good night.
Thanks for staying.
And none of you fell asleep, so we're proud of you.
It is long.
This is
I know.
definitely- So.
Um,
Oh, yeah, we've been.
Need help.
There.
Okay.
Thanks, Zach.
I thought so,
And
Yeah.
but I didn't.
you guys have a good night.
Met your grandpa this other day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
We have to get all new
Thank
door
you.
hardware.
Team Board of Ed?
Is that they were saying this way?
Okay, that brings us to our second opportunity for comment from the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak at this point? That brings us to Board of Education comments. I'm gonna make one really quick and then we can go around the table. I wanted to let you know as the principals at the CEA that I have a couple of mothers and kids who meet up at least once a week at the library right after school. And they run rampant throughout the library. They're all very comfortable there. But what I really appreciated was that one of them, I had a new Hanukkah book on display. And one of them grabbed the book and went to their mom and said, "Mom, this is about Hanukkah. We're learning all about Hanukkah and how not everybody celebrates Christmas and people celebrate different things. And isn't that cool?" And so you could pass it on. They're all in kindergarten. So if you could pass that on, I just thought that was really impactful for me that they recognized that it was about Hanukkah, that they recognized what the lesson was behind it. And I thought that was awesome.
I guess, just again, with the character things that are being done and how they're being modeled, I just think is wonderful. And I just can't, it's just great to see that and see the change that's happened there at the youngest students. So, and then putting that in, that will definitely show changes as they go through. So thank you. I've gone in a lot of classes and sometimes it's hard with their behavior. So that's fantastic.
Because you're teaching them the skills,
Yeah.
not just telling them.
I really enjoyed your presentation tonight and I applaud you both for working with everyone to make that happen. And a special thanks to you, Joanne and Shannon. It takes really good leadership to recognize where the fixes are. And I recall last year talking about opportunities. So, it takes a whole village, if you will, but to see the execution of it, well done. And I look forward to seeing the improvements and the excitement in the kids. So thank you again for presenting.
everything you said. I did want to add one more thing, but I'll let you all go first.
Make sure you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, I want to be last.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I do affirmations with my kiddos at bedtime every night, and since May has started the school year, she does the pledge first.
Oh.
And then she starts like our whole every day.
It's
amazing, Aubrey.
As a new member, the presentations that you guys come in and do are my favorite thing. Because being a member of the community, I had no idea what was going on here ever. And that it's really important. And not to throw Tom under the bus, but that 24%, if you go back and look, the honor roll is about 20%. To pick the kids that get on the honor roll, so it's about the same. Wouldn't you think? I mean, not everybody learns at the same rate. And so that was kind of interesting to me that somebody coming in is at 24%. When you go back and look at our honor roll list, it's about 24%. So.
Well, thank you, Benny. It's a good way to look at it.
I didn't know if this was the appropriate time to bring this up, and it's not a positive thing, and it's not a negative thing, I don't think, but have we ever considered, in light of these recent things going on in this country with school shootings and violence, have we ever considered, I know it's not positive, and I know it would not be ideal, but doing any sort of metal detectors in the school? I'm not suggesting that I'm just saying, have we ever even looked at it or considered it, or just,
Yeah.
was it
let me-
ever discussed?
And yes, well, there's actually new technology. They're not metal detectors. They're like scanners that
Mhm.
like look for,
Look at everything.
and there's what Binghamton has them. And we had our SROs go down and look at, they're very, very expensive. You know, some other urban schools have been considering it, but I mean, you know, it's something that we think about. You know, we try to get guidance on, you know, what's the best plan for us. You know, unfortunately, we do, yes, have those conversations, but it's not something we're doing right yet. I mean, the biggest thing we try to do right now is to know our kids, to reinforce with them that if you see something, say something, keep our eyes open, have good relationships, keep our building at you know, as secure as possible. But you know.
And not letting people in, you guys have done a
Not
lot
letting
of
people
work.
in, which I think people are, you know, have a hard time understanding that, but we.
I agree with all of those
Yeah.
things,
Yeah,
100%.
no, I
I think
know.
we should always do that. I'm just prevention.
Yeah. We
That's
actually,
always-
we talk about it regularly with superintendents, like how that's going, and there are vendors that sell other things, and people have new technology, and I don't, you know. It, you know, like I said, it's the exceptional schools that have that right now. I mean, I don't know, there may come a day that that's the direction that we're gonna go in.
The biggest risk school
But when,
sometimes. So, I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry. go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, so if Binghamton has it, do they have any kind of civil liberty challenges to those detectors at the doors, like? Especially if they're not metal detectors and they're more like,
So they have, my understanding of how they work is that they look for images that look like. and they have
that's even
people-
more
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
intrusive,
it's
so I
part of
would think
their-
civil
it's part
liberty
of
type.
Like the code of conduct for their school, and this part of the school rules, is this what it happens when you walk into school?
Okay. But I mean, I just know it's a litigious society, and so anybody would jump and say, well, we can't do this. So I mean, to add, you know, compound the problem, I didn't know if that was something that they had to worry about too.
So they have not had an issue with that. I mean, I think that everybody's concerned about school safety, right? I mean, especially there when they have a lot of things right outside their doors. They have more of an issue with, like, it's a manpower thing, like you have to have people.
Yes, I understand.
And we're all
but
short
yes.
staffed, and you have,
Yes.
because they don't, it's not just automatic, and you have to have people watching. It's like at the airport.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah, and
I
then
have a friend that works there.
Yeah, I understand it would be massive. But I just think it's something we should consider, think about, look into.
It's something we've been considering off and on for a while, but it.
there's no copyright on your poster, I can put one in there. And then when I get your song, I'll pipe that through.
Oh, I love your song. I can't see your video.
No, I just, nice positive atmosphere.
I love
Turned your attitude
I
around.
used to reset.
I need it.
I mean, it's so simple, but geez, simple sometimes is really good. Reset.
Yep,
I just
Love
love
it.
it. I love
I
it.
thought it was great.
My reset is usually chocolate,
This is
so.
nice to see you loving something so much. I love it. Good job, lady. Usually it's not this positive.
Oh, it is.
is there anything else from the board? Okay, do we have a need for an executive session?
Excellent.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I really am sorry, that was not.
It's okay.
Okay, so we are moving that we adjourn the public meeting at 8:42. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Aubrey, okay.
Aubrey and TT. The
Okay,
T's and the T's.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Tom, you know I love you, right?
Trust me, that-
No, you know I love you. I just.
I-
Oh, get ready. You're like the devil's advocate.
So
Which I appreciate.
I am still.